Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another interesting topic in Vedic astrology today. And today we'll be talking about a special ascendant. Okay, as we know that there is a main ascendant as given to us in the ancient scriptures, and the ascendant or the Rashi, based on the Rashi chart or the lagna chart, whatever you may want to call it, it changes every 120 minutes. Okay, 2 hours. As you can see on the screen, there is a Rashi chart. So every Rashi, we take the ascendant based on what the zodiac sign is on the eastern horizon, and it changes every 2 hours, based on which we draw a Rashi chart. But then the ancient sages have given us ways to calculate other ascendants as well, which are special ascendants. Okay, like if you remember in one of our earlier videos very recently, we discussed about a hora lagna. Okay, not the main lagna, which you can see here as the first house, but the hora lagna, which is a special ascendant. Okay, so people who have not seen that video, I'll recommend you to please go and refer to that. And today we'll be talking about another special ascendant called the carty lagna or the carty ascendant. Carty is actually a unit of time which was used in the ancient times, and one carty represents 24 minutes. Okay, so and based on the carty, the ancient scriptures have told us about carty lagna. Okay, so you can draw a carty lagna based on that, and there's a formula based on the time of birth and based on the longitude of sun at the time of birth. You come up with a carty lagna. Okay, so today we'll be talking about carty lagna and what does carty lagna represent. That is to be seen, and we'll discuss that in this video in a minute. Okay, so I just wanted to first tell you what the main lagna is, main ascendant is, which you all know, and how it's calculated. And then I wanted to draw your attention to special ascendants, like we discussed in earlier videos, like I just mentioned, hora lagna, and in one of our earlier videos we did discuss about Shri lagna. Okay, hora lagna is about wealth, also how to determine what kind of wealth you will have, and along with other tools of analysis, of course. Just don't jump to a conclusion based on this only. And then Shri lagna is also about your wealth. That's also a special ascendant. And this carty lagna, which also is called Ghatika lagna, is about power, especially political power. So you'll be able to determine that, and it's very, very important to consider Carty lagna in the birth charts of politicians. Okay, so that you can determine, although this political power could be related to, at any kind of workspace, or even if a person is working in a corporate, or if he's in any other profession, the kind of political power, or in general in his life, the kind of power, political power, there is family politics as well, so it could be related anywhere, but mostly, more importantly, Carty lagna or Ghatika lagna is used in the chart of politicians because it's directly political power. Okay, so I told you how to calculate Carty lagna. I told you what Carty lagna is. It's a special ascendant, and that ascendant changes every 24 minutes, very unlike the main ascendant, which changes every 120 minutes. And also how to calculate it, I've given you the formula, but that could be kind of tricky for you, because there are the divisions and then additions to the time of birth and the longitude of the sun. So it is better to just find out your Carty lagna at the click of a button in a good astrological software. Okay, like you can see on the screen here, GL written in the 10th house here in this chart represents Ghati Lagna. So like I said, Ghati Lagna is about power. It could be related to any kind of a power in the family, power at any place of employment, power in your own business, but mostly, very importantly, it is political power. Okay, so we've understood up until this point as to what Ghati Lagna is. And as you can see on the screen here, the most important thing is we will be discussing a chart of a very important politician. Okay, and this chart, which you can see on the screen, people who have already not guessed so far, is the chart of the late Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi. And we all know that she ruled India as the Prime Minister, I think, for around maybe more than 1 decade, and around a little less than 2 decades. So she was a very, very powerful lady. And today we'll see how this Ghati Lagna can be related to her birth chart. Okay, and as you can see here, where GL is written, which falls in the 10th house, is the Ghati Lagna. All right, so the first indication here is that it is falling in the 10th house itself. Okay, and 10th house is the house of power and prestige. So that gives us an indication as to this person is going to enjoy, or have rather, a lot of political power. Okay, and we know that she led India for almost 2 decades. So that is one indication. So when you, as astrologers, when you analyze a chart, especially for a politician, you have to look at the Ghati Lagna, and then look at when the Lagna, if you consider the 10th house as the Ghati Lagna, then you can analyze other planet placements in the chart as to how they are affecting her. So if you look at the 2nd house from the Ghati Lagna, Jupiter is placed there. Okay, what does Jupiter signify here? Jupiter signifies here that she got wealth. Jupiter is a planet of wealth. Okay, she got a lot of wealth based on the fact that she was in a politically powerful position, so as to say. Okay, not that I'm not suggesting that she made wealth out of unfair means, but here Jupiter is very clearly signifying, since it's 2nd house to the Ghati Lagna, that she did get some kind of wealth. Okay, because of this position of power, because of this political position of power rather. Okay, now also the 10th house represents the resources of the father. Okay, so obviously we know that she became the prime minister because she was the late Jawaharlal Nehru's daughter, okay, who was also the prime minister of India earlier than, not just earlier than her, but there was a prime minister in between her and her father, so he also was the first prime minister of India. And since the Ghati Lagna falls in the 10th house, the political power or the resources of the power were responsible to get her this political power, which is so true. Okay, so I always discuss from the ancient scriptures. All my videos are a direct reference to the ancient scriptures. It's not a figment of imagination of any modern day astrologer, and the ancient scriptures are so true. As you can see from this screen, this chart of Indira Gandhi, one is, we just discussed that it falls in the 10th house of power itself, Ghatika Lagna. It's a very rare thing to come, which shows that yes, it is falling in the house of political power, or it is falling the house of power and prestige itself. Also, the 10th house we discussed is the resource of the father, and we know that she got this political powerful position because mostly, not that she was not talented, but mostly because of the resources of the father. She inherited this political power from her father, so as to say. Thirdly, we discussed that Jupiter, which is falling the second house, which is the house of wealth, from the Kartika lagna, gave her wealth. How she got it? Maybe, writing books, or through her foundations, or through donations, whatever. But yes, this political power did give her wealth. Now the lord of the Kartika lagna is falling in the 5th house from it, okay, which is Mars. Mars is the lord of the Kartika, or the Karti lagna, whichever way you want to call it, is falling in the 5th house, and the 5th house is the house of pleasure. So she did definitely enjoy this political power, okay. She had pleasure, and we all know that how she used to enjoy it, because she was so active in politics, and fighting wars, and changing the laws, or even abolishing the privy purses of the princes of India. She was always doing some kind of an activity with a lot of passion, okay. And one can only do that with a lot of passion if that person is enjoying it. So she was definitely, because the lord of the Karti lagna is falling in the 5th house from it, which means that she was enjoying it. She was finding pleasure in this political power, okay. So that is also one of the things which we can see as to how this Ghati or Ghatika lagna works in this birth chart. Also, you see that the 4th house is occupied by Saturn. Now Saturn is a malefic, okay, and her 4th house is about domestic happiness. So it shows very clearly that her domestic happiness was severely afflicted because of this political power. And that's so true. She got separated from her husband because she she was in politics, and she was very actively involved in politics, and she did not get the kind of domestic happiness, okay, because of the fact that she was enjoying political power, okay. Also, her marriage had suffered, as you know. We know that and the cause of that was her political power itself, and not being able to devote time to her marital life. That also you can see very clearly through the 7th house from the Ghati lagna. And the lord of the 7th house is sitting with Rahu, okay. And Rahu, as we know, it's a malefic. Once again, also the 10th house from the Ghati lagna has moon in it, which also is supporting the 10th house from Ghati lagna. First, the lagna itself is powerful, which is ruled by Mars sitting in the 5th house, the Ghati lagna. Second, also the planet moon is sitting in the 10th house from Ghati lagna, and the 10th house from Ghati lagna also will represent power, okay. So that is also very favorably placed here. So all the factors, if you take into consideration, money coming in, her domestic happiness getting affected, her finding pleasure through her political power, her marital happiness getting affected adversely because of this political power. 10th house from Ghati lagna has moon placed in it, which also will give her a lot of power. Moon is a planet of power as well. Sitting in the 10th house. So all these factors indicate, one, that this chart is so true when it comes to the Ghati lagna, and the ancient scriptures are so true when you do a detailed research and analyze birth charts using the ancient scriptures and the ancient principles, rather than going on the internet and listening to some kind of an imaginary thing given to us by the modern day astrologers, okay. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Once again, I will recommend subscribe to my channel, check out my website, there is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic in Vedic astrology in my next session very soon. Goodbye.